Here are 3 terrifying stories from rideshare passengers who realized their drivers were taking them somewhere they never agreed to go. These are real accounts that were sent to me, and I have to warn you, the 3rd story is truly disturbing. It was a regular Tuesday night around 11:30 p.m. I had just finished my shift as a barista at a cafe downtown. I was exhausted. It had been one of those days where everything goes wrong, from the espresso machine breaking down to a customer yelling at me because we messed up his order. All I wanted was to get home, take a hot shower, and sleep. I ordered an Uber through the app. The driver accepted quickly, a gray Toyota Corolla license plate ending in 479. His name was Marcus, rated 4.9 stars with over 1,000 trips. He seemed trustworthy. He arrived in less than 5 minutes. I got into the back seat and gave a quick hey. Marcus just nodded without saying a word. I didn't think much of it. Some drivers are quiet, especially late at night. He confirmed my name, confirmed the destination on the app, and we started driving. I put on my headphones and started scrolling through Instagram, half zoned out, just waiting to get home. My apartment was about 20 minutes away, in a quiet residential neighborhood. I knew the route well. I always took the same one. About 10 minutes later, I looked out the window and noticed something strange. I didn't recognize the street. I checked the GPS on the app. The route was completely different from what I expected. Instead of taking the main avenue, we were driving through narrow, dimly lit residential streets. I took off my headphones. Sorry, Marcus. Why are we going this way? I usually go through Central Avenue. He looked at me in the rearview mirror. His eyes seemed empty, like he was looking through me, not at me. Traffic, he said in a flat voice. This route is faster. I looked at the app again. There were no traffic alerts. And even if there had been, those streets didn't seem to lead in the right direction. I tried to convince myself I was just being paranoid. Maybe he really did know a shortcut. But the farther we drove, the less familiar everything looked. The houses became more spaced out, the streetlights rarer, some completely off. I checked my phone's GPS. We were moving away from my apartment, not toward it. Marcus, seriously, where are you taking me? My place is in the opposite direction. He didn't respond. He just kept driving, hands steady on the wheel, eyes locked on the road. The radio was off. No music, no sound except the hum of the engine and the tires on the asphalt. My heart started pounding faster. I grabbed my phone and opened my messages, thinking about sending my location to someone. But who? My roommate was out of town. My parents lived in another state. Then he did something that froze me completely. He locked all the doors. I heard the click of the central lock. I tried the handle on my side. Locked. Why did you lock the doors? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady and failing. He finally spoke, still not looking at me. Safety. This neighborhood's dangerous. But there was no one on the street. No cars, no people, just dark houses and empty lots. I opened the Uber app and searched for the emergency button. My hands were shaking so much I almost dropped my phone. I found the options: share trip and emergency. Before I could press anything, Marcus suddenly hit the gas. I was thrown back against the seat. "What the hell are you doing?" I shouted. He didn't answer, he just kept accelerating. 60 kilometers an hour, 70, 80, on narrow residential streets where the limit should have been 40. We passed a sign. Industrial area, dead end. Shit. My mind was racing. I thought of every horror story I'd ever heard. Kidnapped passengers, robberies, worse. I hit the emergency button on the app. A message popped up. Authorities have been notified. Share your location. Marcus saw the light from my phone reflected in the rearview mirror. His eyes met mine. For the first time, he really looked at me. "You shouldn't have done that," he said, his voice low, almost a whisper. The car entered a completely dark area. No streetlights, only the headlights cutting through the darkness. Around us, abandoned warehouses, empty lots surrounded by barbed wire. He stopped the car. The engine still running. Headlights shining on a concrete wall covered in graffiti. Total silence. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. I gripped my phone so tightly my fingers turned white. "Get out of the car," he said. "What? Get out of the car!" he shouted, his voice exploding through the silence. I tried the door again, locked. I looked at the windows, closed with dark tinting I hadn't noticed before. He unlocked his door and started to get out. That's when I heard it. Sirens. Faint at first, but growing louder every second. Marcus heard them too. He froze, half out of the car, staring in the direction of the sound. "Shit," he muttered. He got back in, reversed, and sped back the way we'd come. He didn't say a word, just drove fast, but not as recklessly as before. 3 minutes later, we passed a police car heading the opposite way toward the industrial area. Marcus kept driving. To my total surprise and confusion, he took the correct route, back to the main avenue, back toward my neighborhood. He stopped in front of my building and unlocked the doors. "Sorry," he said, his voice flat again. "Got confused with the GPS. I got out so fast I almost tripped. I slammed the door shut and ran to my building without looking back. The next day I checked the app to report the ride." Marcus's account had disappeared. No history, no profile, as if he'd never existed. I contacted Uber support. They said there was no record of a driver with that name, that car, or that license plate on their platform. But the ride was still in my trip history. The charge was on my credit card. To this day, I have no idea who or what picked me up that night. This happened about 8 months ago during the winter. I had gone to a friend's birthday party on the other side of the city. The party ended later than I expected, around 1:30 a.m. Most of my friends had already left or were too drunk to drive. I had been drinking too, not much, but enough to feel uneasy about getting behind the wheel. So I called an Uber. The app said it would take about 15 minutes for a driver to arrive. There weren't many available at that hour. I waited outside the house, shivering in the cold, watching the little car icon slowly move across the map until it stopped right in front of me. When it arrived, it was a white minivan. The driver looked to be in his 50s, wearing a worn leather jacket and a baseball cap. He waved at me with a smile. "Are you Sarah?" "I am," I answered, getting into the back seat. He confirmed my destination on the app, and we started driving. The first 10 minutes were normal. He made small talk, asked about the party, if I'd had fun, complained about the cold weather. I replied politely, but I was tired and just wanted to get home. Then suddenly, he took an exit off the highway. It wasn't the right one. "Sorry, I think you took the wrong exit," I said. "Mine's the next one." "I know a shortcut," he said, still smiling. "It'll save us about 10 minutes. I glanced at the GPS. It didn't look like a shortcut, but I figured maybe he knew the local roads better than the app. Except soon, I realized there were no more houses around, only trees. Where are we?" I asked, sitting up straight. "Shortcut," he repeated, but his voice sounded different now. Less friendly, more mechanical. The road turned to dirt and the minivan started rattling over potholes. Tree branches scraped against the sides of the vehicle. There were no lights, just the headlights slicing through the darkness of the forest. I checked my phone. 1 bar of signal, then none. "I think we should turn back," I said, trying not to sound panicked. "I don't think this is the right way." He didn't answer. He just kept driving slower now, maneuvering down the narrow dirt path. We passed an old rusted sign. "Private property. Trespassers will be prosecuted." "Okay, stop the car right now," I demanded. "This isn't the right way and you know it." He finally stopped. The engine was still running, the headlights shining into an endless wall of trees. He turned to look at me, and the smile was gone. "You want to get out?" he asked. "Yes. Now." "Then get out." He unlocked the doors. I looked out the window. Complete darkness, dense forest on all sides, no houses, no lights, no sign of civilization. It had to be at least 5 degrees below zero out there. I was wearing only a thin dress and a light coat. If I got out, I'd freeze before finding help. If I stayed, please, I begged, my voice shaking. Just take me home, I'll pay you extra. Anything. He stared at me for a long moment. Then he reached for something on the passenger seat, a flashlight, and a rope. My stomach dropped. Get out of the car, he said again, now holding the flashlight. I couldn't move. I was frozen in pure terror. Then, miraculously, my phone buzzed. 1 bar of signal had returned. An incoming call. Ashley, my friend from the party. I answered on speaker shouting, Ashley, I'm in a white minivan, license plate. I made one up. He drove me into the woods. The driver ripped the phone from my hand and threw it out the window. But it was too late. Ashley had heard me. The man looked toward where the phone had disappeared into the darkness, then back at me. He looked panicked. Without saying a word, he threw the van into reverse, back down the dirt road, then turned around and sped back the way we came. Fast. Dangerously fast for such a narrow path. 15 minutes later, we were back on the highway. He didn't say a single word for the rest of the drive. When we reached my address, he stopped the car, unlocked the doors, and said nothing. I bolted out, ran inside, and locked every door behind me. Ashley called me 5 minutes later. She had contacted the police the moment she heard me scream. They were already searching for a white minivan. I reported the ride and the driver to Uber, and his account was suspended pending investigation. 3 days later, I read a local news story. A woman's body had been found in that same forest. She had been missing for 2 weeks. The last time anyone saw her, she was getting into a white minivan. I'm a college student, 21 years old. This story happened just 2 months ago, and honestly, it still haunts me. Since then, I've completely changed the way I use rideshare apps. It was a Friday night, around 10. I had just finished my shift at the campus library. I work there to help cover my expenses. My roommate had gone to her parents' house for the weekend, so I was alone in the apartment. The campus was about 25 minutes from where I lived. Normally I took the bus, but they stopped running after 9 on Fridays, so I called an Uber. The driver accepted quickly. A black Honda Civic, named David, rating 4.8. He arrived in 5 minutes. I got into the back seat, buckled up, and greeted him. He nodded and gave a casual, "How are you?" He looked like a normal guy, maybe in his early 30s, scruffy beard, plain t-shirt. We started driving. I was on my phone, replying to messages from friends and making weekend plans, not a single worry in my mind. About 10 minutes later, I noticed we were on the highway. That wasn't wrong, since my apartment was near one of the exits, but then he drove right past it. "Hey, I think you missed the exit," I said. "Oh crap, sorry," he replied. "I'll take the next one and turn back." Fine, it happens. But then he missed the next one. And the next. "Hey," I said more firmly. "You've passed several exits. Where are we going?" Sorry, he said, not slowing down. "The GPS is acting up. Let me fix it." I looked at the app on my phone. The route showed that we should have exited miles ago, and the estimated arrival time kept increasing. "Seriously, I need you to take the next exit now," I said. Sure, he answered, but didn't signal or change lanes. He stayed in the middle lane, going 70 miles an hour. We passed another exit. "What are you doing?" I screamed. He didn't answer. I looked around the car for anything I could use. Nothing. Just an air freshener hanging from the mirror and an empty water bottle. I looked at the doors. The lock light was on. I tried to open it manually, but it didn't work. He had turned on the child lock. My heart started racing. A cold sweat ran down my back. "Stop the car," I ordered, my voice shaking. "Stop now or I'll scream." He finally spoke, his voice calm, too calm. "There's no one to hear you, we're on the highway." I grabbed my phone and tried to call 911. Before I could press the button, he suddenly accelerated. I was thrown back against the seat. My phone fell to the floor. "Don't do that," he said, still with that eerily calm tone. "Just relax, we're going for a drive." "A drive where?" I shouted, bending down to grab my phone. He made a sharp turn and took an exit, but I didn't recognize the area. The sign read, "Rest area, 2 km." No. A rest area meant isolation, low lighting, few cars. I tried rolling down the window, but the controls were locked. I thought about jumping out, but at that speed it would be suicide. I waited for him to stop so I could run, but where? We were in the middle of nowhere. Then I had an idea. I unbuckled my seatbelt and lunged forward, grabbing the steering wheel. "What the hell?" he shouted, trying to push me away. The car swerved violently. A truck honked loudly as it passed inches from us. He took one hand off the wheel to shove me, and I used the moment to grab my phone from the floor. Then he slammed on the brakes. I was thrown forward, hit my head on the seat, and saw stars. The car came to a stop on the shoulder. Headlights from passing cars blurred by in streaks of light. He turned toward me, and for the first time I saw real anger on his face. "You ruin everything!" he screamed, jumping out of the car and running toward my door. That was my chance. I jumped into the driver's seat, locked the doors, and threw the car into gear. He started pounding on the window, shouting something I couldn't even hear over the roar of adrenaline in my ears. I slammed the gas pedal. I drove for about 3 miles until I saw a brightly lit gas station. I pulled in under the brightest lights I could find near the store entrance. My hands were shaking so much I could barely hold my phone to call the police. They arrived in under 10 minutes. I told them everything. They took down the license plate, the car was registered to him, and ran his record. Turns out David had 2 prior assault charges. He should never have been approved as an Uber driver. He was found 3 hours later, walking along the highway, arrested for attempted kidnapping, unlawful confinement, and other charges. During the investigation, police discovered something that kept me awake for weeks. In the trunk of his car, they found 5 fake female IDs, duct tape, a shovel, and a map with 6 marked points in remote forests. They're still searching those locations. So far, they've found 2 shallow graves. I was supposed to be the 3rd. Always share your ride. Always watch the route, always trust your instincts. Your life might depend on it. If you've ever had a similar experience or any rideshare story that made you uncomfortable, share it in the comments. Let's keep each other aware and safe. If you liked this video and want to hear more real horror stories, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss any content. And if this video gave you chills, leave a like. It really helps the channel grow. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you in the next video.